I don't know if I'm just super late to the party, but I've recently discovered the free streaming service called Plex. It's very similar to Tubi, where you get ads, but you get to watch so many films for free, and they actually have a really decent horror selection. So I thought today, like with all of the other streaming services, I'll do a recommendations video for it. I absolutely love free streaming services because it means it is so much more accessible for people who may not be able to afford streaming services, because it does get quite pricey, especially if you want multiple. I have 8 horror film recommendations today, and my first one is a film called Starry Eyes. A young woman with stardom dreams attends an audition in hopes of a big break. Following this audition, she meets a group of Hollywood elites that make her a sinister deal in exchange for the fame she most desperately desires. How much is she willing to sacrifice to get what she wants? It's not long before this film takes a dark and disturbing turn, with some brutal scenes that are honestly quite hard to watch. But at the same time, it's hard to look away because of the captivating and fast-paced plotline that has you anxious about what's to come next. With this film, we get a deep dive into the darker side of Hollywood. Fame and horror go perfectly hand in hand, with so much to explore, like deep, dark desires, and the fact that so many people are willing to give up so much of their life to become famous, dropping all morals at even the sight of climbing the ladder. Starry Eyes gives us gore, body horror, and graphic imagery with a psychological edge. My next recommendation is a film called Pheonix Forgotten. Footage has been recovered of 3 teenagers that mysteriously disappeared 20 years ago, following the sight of unexplained lights in the sky of Arizona. Exploring the footage, we get to see what really happened only hours before the incident. This is a mysterious found footage horror film where we get to piece together the mystery as we watch. There's a feeling of uneasiness and creepiness throughout this slow burn that feels just too real. It's a simple premise and plot line, but done really well. I probably wouldn't recommend this to everyone, but if you are someone who enjoys a lot of found footage films, then this is definitely one to have on your radar. Next is a film called Sorority Row. A group of sorority girls decide to pull a prank on an unexpected, awful idiot frat boy. Their prank is going to plan, and they're finding it hilarious until something serious happens, causing a tragic casualty. They agree to never talk about this night again and to just move on with their lives. This is all well and good until they start getting targeted by a killer who knows their secret. This is a very cheesy late 2000s slasher. It kind of falls into the category of chick flick horror. We follow a group of teenagers, so a lot of bad and questionable decisions are made. It's still a lot of fun, thoroughly entertaining, and full of brutal kills. The beginning is very memorable and iconic. When you watch it for the first time, your jaw will be on the floor. It definitely holds a lot of nostalgia for us who grew up in the 2000s. My next recommendation is Pyewacket. Following the death of her father, Leah and her mother are left with just each other in the town that her mother despises due to the memories of her lost husband. To Leah's disgust, her mother decides that they need to move out of town, which sends Leah into a teenage rage. The practicing occultist performs a ritual on her mother, which results in summoning the Pyewacket demon. In this creepy psychological horror film, we watch a very emotional coming-of-age story where we see a teenager who is dealing with so much, obviously already dealing with everything that comes along with being a teenager, and then she has grief and all of these other new things on top of that. Leah isn't really a likable character, but she is a teenager, and like I said, she does have so much going on. There's some really creepy moments, especially in the woods that surround their home. The greyish colour grading definitely gives it more of a gritty feel. I personally think that this is a super underrated supernatural occult horror film. The next film I'm going to recommend is 13 Sins. A man gets a random but low-key scary phone call asking if he wants to win some money by killing a fly that's in his car. He is driving at night with no one around, So he wonders how they know about the fly and assumes that it's just someone playing a prank on him that he knows that can see him. He complies and to his surprise receives money and is asked if he would like to continue playing the game, where he must complete 13 tasks resulting in winning a large sum of money. He's having financial struggles as it is, so he accepts and starts the game, but doesn't realise the extent to what he's getting himself into. Each of the challenges get more and more extreme, and once he's started, there's no way out. This is a very unserious film. It's very cheesy and some of the characters' actions and dialogues are a bit questionable, but it's very entertaining with so much going on, and if you're anything like me, then you'll probably want to keep watching to the end to see how far this will go. When doing some research for this video, I did see a lot of bad reviews for this film, so it definitely isn't for everyone. I think because I watched it quite a few years ago when it kind of first came out and I was a lot younger, I kind of just really enjoyed it because I hadn't seen that many films like it. There wasn't that many game horror films out there, and cheesy game horror films are kind of just like a comfort subgenre for me. I saw one review where someone compared it to Black Mirror, and I think that is exactly a perfect way to sum up this film. It really does feel like it could be an episode. This is actually also a remake of another film. I'm yet to see it. I do need to watch it. If you've seen it and it's any good, then please let me know. Next is a film called Odd Thomas. Odd Thomas has a perfect life from the outside, a loving girlfriend, great friends, and a job that he enjoys, but things are more complicated than what they seem on the outside. Odd was born with an extra sense. He can see supernatural beings within our human world called Bodaks. These are creatures that show up before someone is going to die, so he can kind of see a little bit into the future in a sense, as he knows that something bad may happen when they are around, so he can try to prevent it. One day he notices an influx of Bodaks all around one area, which leads him to believe that a big disaster may be happening soon. This film is based off of a book of the same name. It's actually a book series by Dean Koontz, who is one of my favourite authors. Odd Thomas will take you on a roller coaster of emotions. The non-stop action and fast-paced storyline will keep you needing to know where this fun popcorn horror will go. It has a light-hearted, comical tone and does feel very teen horror. If you're looking for a silly, entertaining comfort watch with a heartfelt story, then definitely give this one a go. It's more of a spooky horror film rather than a dark, disturbing horror film. My next recommendation is a film called Hush. A masked man arrives to invade the home of an unexpected deaf woman called Maddie. He soon realizes when he's outside that she can't hear him, so he thinks that he can use this to his advantage. Once he is inside the house, Maddie must devise a plan to outsmart the maniac and get him out of her house. It's really good to see representation in horror films, especially because Maddie is such a strong and resilient character, but I really do think that this is a missed opportunity where they could have hired a deaf actor. Kate Segal, who plays Maddie, is actually not deaf in real life. She is married to Mike Flanagan, who directed this film, and she apparently did consult with the deaf community and learn sign language for this role. I just think there are probably so many deaf actors out there waiting for a role like this, but putting that to the side, I do really like Mike Flanagan and his work. He usually creates really thought-provoking and emotional stories. This film is really creepy with the antagonist just wearing this plain white mask, and for him to just show up at her house without any reason that we're aware of. It's extremely tense with lots of silent moments to get our anxiety rising in anticipation for some scares. It's a simple, straightforward home invasion. The storyline isn't really complex, but the fact that Maddie can't hear anything is what makes this film stand out from the rest. My last recommendation today is a film called May. An outcasted girl who has always had trouble making friends because she is awkward and always told that she is different, is really shy but desperate for a friend or a relationship. One day she spots a guy that takes her interest, so she sets out to get to know him. The more she sees him, the more she realizes how perfect his hands are and an obsession begins. This is a stereotypical weird girl horror film, which is a category I absolutely love. I'm sure a lot of people can relate, maybe not fully, but in some ways if you've ever felt outcasted or weird, as I know I have. May has a lazy eye, which she is really self-conscious about because people have been treating her differently because of it her whole life, which is really sad. This is just everything that you could ask for from a 2000s psychological horror film. The typical early 2000s fashion, quite a straightforward storyline, inevitable ending, and a nice amount of gore. I feel like May was really ahead of its time. It would definitely fit in with the releases nowadays. It's so crazy to think that this came out in the early 2000s because it just really feels like a 2020 release. So there are all of my recommendations for horror films on Plex today. If you would like more, then I can do another video because there is honestly such a good range of horror films and just such a good range of films in general on there. Also, let me know if there are any other free streaming platforms that I may not be aware of yet. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another one soon.